friend of mine from high school reached out. He has a guitar he wants me to sell for him. This will be the hardest guitar I've ever tried to sell. You have to see it. Let me go grab it. I want you to see this thing. Super cool brown case. That's what you want to see. Check this thing out. Has the pink inlay. Here we go. More on this later. Do you see what it is? It's a Lucille, but it's not just any Lucille. This Lucille has the king himself. BB King has signed this guitar. Hey, before we dig in, make sure you hit the bell down below so that you know when new videos come up. So this guitar in itself is just an amazing, really well-built Memphis era Gibson Lucille. What year is this? This is a 1997. So on Gibson serial numbers, the first and fifth digit are the year. The second, third, and fourth digit tell you what day of the year that was made. And then the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth digits tell you what number guitar it was that day that they made. So this guitar was made in 1997. It was made on the 91st day of the year, and it was the 425th neck that they stamped that day. So it has a little tiny bit of playwear. It is certainly not mint or garage kept or kept in the case. But it's a big, giant BB King style body. Has the original cellulose pickguard that has some checks and some cracks in it. I want to be really careful with it so that it doesn't break or get damaged. In proper BB King style, this guitar is proper stereo. So that means that I either need a Y cable that can go to one amp and the other amp, or I have an adapter that I got that will just combine the tip and the ring together so that it puts it all into one guitar. So I'll show you that adapter here in a minute. The other things that are quintessential about the Lucille, first is there are no F-holes. So this is a giant body with no F-holes. It has fine tuners on the tailpiece, gold hardware all over. It also has the 6-way rotary for different coils, different configurations, tons of different tones that you can make this guitar sound like. I had one of these a few years ago. It's a very cool option to have. It gives you tons of sounds that you would never get, even though you might have a 345 or a 335. This gives you totally different tones that you would never get in there. In addition to this, the other things that make this quintessentially a Lucille are the big, giant block inlays, which I think look so cool. Then when you come up here to the headstock, big open book. It has Lucille inlaid on the headstock. The gold truss rod cover that says BB King. Everything about this guitar was just purpose-built to be exactly like the King's guitar himself. So let's hear it. So it has really dead strings. In a minute, I'll restring it. I'll clean it up so I can get ready for pictures. I'm gonna run it now with super dead strings, which for the style of music that this plays, dead strings works. But I'm gonna play this through my Fender Tone Master Deluxe. So hold tight, let me get everything set up. It is very Gibson. One of my favorite guitars I ever owned was a 91 Gibson Dot reissue. This guitar has a lot of that. I'm playing it weird because I don't want my arm to touch the signature. I think that's really important. There are two components that make this guitar expensive. One, the guitar itself. This is a $2,500, $3,000 Gibson Lucille. It's a rare guitar in itself, but on top of that, it has all of this amazing provenance. This was signed by BB King and has a genuine certificate of authenticity. So there's very little question that this guitar was actually signed by BB King himself, and that totally changes the equation. So let me restring this. I'm going to do some very gentle cleaning, restringing, wiping dust off, very gentle, and then we'll hear it again once it's cleaned up, because right now it feels like there's not really any mids, feels very dull. It's not a good representation right now, but let's get it cleaned up, let's check it out, and let's talk about what guitar celebrity and memorabilia contributes to guitar's value. The way I see this guitar, there are two critical components to this. On one side, you have a 23-year-old, very cool Gibson American-made guitar. On the other side, you have this piece of memorabilia, collectability that has increased because the person who signed it has passed away. And so BB King is not signing more guitars now. But there's the problem in which he signed tons of things. So the more I've dug into this, he has signed everything he could, which a lot of guys did this. I believe it was Bill Monroe. When I worked at a guitar shop, we would always see these banjos, and they were like, this is not a fair comparison. But these banjos would come in, they look like a Gibson RB250, but they were made by someone else. I think they were made in China. But basically, it's a way that they could kind of monetize their celebrity. This was back before the internet for the most part. And so what would happen is you'd go and you'd have this emotional experience seeing a musician play, and then they would sign the instrument, And in your mind and in their mind, and not a whole lot of other people's minds, that guitar all of a sudden was, or that banjo would then be worth way more than your ticket price, way more than anything. You now have an investment in this banjo. And I think Bill Monroe, which I could be, I'm pretty sure it's Bill Monroe, because I think they even sold the banjos themselves. So you could come to a show, buy a banjo from the merch table, and then have him sign it. And I mean, it's a little bit of a racket. But anyway, back to the Gibson at hand. So BB King, it looks like, from all of my research, BB King has signed a good bit of stuff. So on Reverb presently, as of September, early September 2020, there is another Lucille on Reverb. It's in worse shape than this one, but it's signed with a date with BB King. It doesn't have a certificate of authenticity. So along with the guitar came the pen. It was a paint pen and it's the same color. It seems to match. There's also the ticket to the show, and it was in Canada. So one lingering question I have is, I don't know if that's Canadian dollars, because if that's the case, right now Canadian, it's a higher number to lower US dollars. But, so there's this other guitar, they're asking $8,999. To me, that seems like, so there's two components to this. There is, what is this guitar worth? And then on top of that, what is the signature of BB King worth on top of that? I think that this guitar should be a $6,000 guitar. I think it's 3 and 3. I could be way off, but from the best of my research so far, I think that that's a pretty fair price, somewhere between $6,000 and $7,000. Now with that, it may have to go to auction. It may have other things that will need to go. But basically, a friend of mine asked, could I check it out, restring it, just look it over, talk about it, and bring my opinion. So my opinion of this guitar as it sits, so I cleaned it up and restrung it. It's not in mint condition. Also, it's a 97, right? So it wasn't signed until 2001 or 2002 on the certificate of authenticity, which I think is kind of cool, because what I'm assuming is someone bought this guitar and played it, and that's what it looks like. Someone bought it, played it, loved it, and then they had it signed by BB King at some event. So here's the certificate of authenticity. So it's from the American Liver Foundation. So this was won in an auction. So the letter says, this is to certify that the signature of Mr. BB King is authentic. Signed by Laverne Toney. I am going to look that guy up. The executive secretary of the King Road Shows Incorporated at Laverne, and his signature Laverne Toney. And this was signed 6/13/02. Yeah, this guitar's like a 97. That's an 02. It's interesting. There's a gap here between when this guitar was made and when this cert was signed. Okay, well, there's the certificate of authenticity. All in, the guitar is very cool, but I don't think this guitar will be played much, especially because where he signed, and I get it, it's a big prominent signature, and this was a way to commoditize or monetize the celebrity that came with BB King. And so it's signed in a place in which it makes it to where it's no longer a guitar that you get to play. Like the whole time I was playing it, my arm was all cocked out because I just don't want to do anything to the signature. I was very careful when I cleaned the guitar. I didn't even really clean over top of it. But overall, yeah, it's these two things, but it is a confusing and confounding thing because you have the intersection of two worlds of cool old guitars and what they're worth, combining that with memorabilia. And I don't know memorabilia. I don't collect signatures. I would not have bought this guitar. This is just a consignment for a friend. But I think it's very cool. So what do you think about this? To what role does a signature from an artist that you care about, that you like, that you're inspired by, to what extent does that change the guitar? And then if they would sign your guitar, do you get to keep it? Do you get to keep playing it? It's a very cool guitar, and in the end, to me, it is not really, it doesn't have a life as a guitar ahead of it. It has a life as a collector's piece, as a piece of memorabilia that will be displayed. So, thanks for watching this video. I'm Jeremy, I'm the Guitar Hunter. If you like this video, if you think that this kind of content is cool or compelling, I would love if you subscribe. So, make sure the bell is turned on so you know that when new videos come up. Also, if you want to become a guitar hunter, who fills the world with music and friendship. One of the best ways to do that and to support this channel is to buy a t-shirt through my website or through my Reverb store. Both of the links are in the description below. Thanks for watching this video. I don't take it lightly that you spend time learning about guitars and gear, and I hope that it just bubbles up in your world into music and friendship. I'll see you later.